Oh, hi. Who are you? You don't know me? How could you not know me? I'm Howie Morenz, former NHL player from the Montreal Canadiens and the Chicago Blackhawks. Why don't you walk with me? What's that? You wonder how life was in the 1920s? The roaring 20s? Well, believe me, as a former NHL player, it wasn't easy for us. But for everyone else, it seemed to be good, or for the most average Americans. So why don't I take you on a trip to the past today, and I'll show you everything there was to know about the 1920s, the roaring 20s. Wow. Right then and there, the war was over. All the men and women, sorry, not women. Women didn't have a fighting role. They stayed home and did important things like build ammunition for our men, build the guns, can foods, and foods that they could send over to Europe and aid the Allies. That was their role. They did not fight. The men, though, they all went over. All the young era, at least, that were able to fight, and the ones that got drafted, went over. Well then, what happened then? What happened when the war was over? Many of our men did not come back. But many of them did. A good portion enough to where when they came back, everyone was so thrilled. The economy started to boom. Businesses, we started to spark again. The cycle of business. Money was spreading. Everyone had money. The economy was booming. Look at these economies. They were all booming. I don't know any of them, but they were booming. This made it the cycle of money start to go around once again for when things were slow. Although during the war, there was a point where the economy wasn't too bad because they were making so many things that they sent them all and sold them to everyone in Europe that needed money and supplies for the war. I mean, it's just how the economy was in the 1920s. Alright, so... Well, what did people do for fun in the 1920s, huh? Was it all boring? No electricity, no video games like you have nowadays? Well, 1920s, another great part of the era. New things were coming out. I mean, well, first of all, the war was over. People had leisure time. They could do what they wanted. You know, there wasn't no point where they had to work every day of the week except Sunday. So many hours a day to get the money just to get by. People had enough money. So what'd they do for fun? You have a lot of money, you don't need to work. What are you gonna do, sit home and stare at each other? So, what did they do? New things are being invented. Movies with sound. No more picture shows where they just show the action and then they show what the guy said, so it's not like, that was a good movie. No, none of that. Movies had sound. It was exciting. What else did they do? Well, one of the biggest things here, radios. They had radios. Instant communication to anyone, any place within the broadcasting waves. So, what do they do with radios? Listen to shows, new talk shows, music? Music's coming around now, huh? Jazz, that's coming around now. Jazz, the birth of every kind of music. Most importantly though, my favorite, they listen to hockey. Hockey on the radio, sports being broadcasted. You go, sit at home with your family, listen to the radio, listen to the Blackhawks play, the Canadiens play, the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the Montreal Canadiens. Everyone, all the good original 6 teams, and others that came to follow. But what's more exciting than that is they went to the games. They went and watched great hockey. So the art and culture is just growing in the roaring 20s. Land, earth, society. That is my next point I'm going to bring to you today. Society took a big change in the 1920s, you know. People weren't so uptight. As in, what I'm getting at, is women. Women's fashion, behavior, people's behavior. It wasn't so uptight. Women began to wear clothes that were fashionable. You know, not to where it was like a nun outfit where not any skin could be showing. Like one bit of skin showing. Oh no skin showing. No, they started to go out. Flappers, girls that were stylish. They went and danced. All of that good stuff. Another point: racism. Racism. Blacks still not treated as full equally as they should be, but they got jobs in the North, jobs everywhere else. When during the war or after the war was over, they got jobs such as managing the hockey rinks, maybe flooding the ice. I don't know. I can't remember that long. Most of it. Another thing in society: cars. Cars were going cheaper and cheaper at the time. At least while the economy was booming, cars that went for $1,000 went down to $298. That's a good deal. I only made about $1,000 a season. Today's money, that's only $12,000. So I had to work 2 jobs, but I love hockey, and for the love of the game, I did it. But things such as this: new cars, society was changing, economies were booming, the roaring 20s. Helmets required. Back in my day, we didn't play with helmets. We didn't play with hardly any gear. It was good old-fashioned hockey. Rough, mean. Rules. Politics. That's another good point about the 1920s. One of the last things I had to talk to you about. Politics. Beginning of the 20s, towards the end of the war, everyone, like I said, all the young men were going to fight. So, and that included Canadian. Oh, Canada, my home and native land. All those players from Canada like me go fought in the war. I did go fought. But came back, lived, saw combat, and then I came back to play the game I love so much. But after the war, people through the 20s, they didn't think anything like that was going to happen. They were so focused that this is an awful idea, it was stupid, why did we do this? So they tried as hard as they could not to have another war, and they didn't know about World War II coming. So before that, they thought, okay, we're good, you know, peace finally. Things weren't changing on that side. Things were peaceful. Other than things such as racism that had to do with politics and the rules of how they were treated. That was the only difference made. But I thank you for the journey today. And I'm afraid I'm going to see my last day soon. But I wanted to thank you for helping me spend my last days talking about the times I love so much. The glory days of hockey.